Hi there. So one of the rumours that have been floating about that there was an imminent Space Marine Codex on the horizon was confirmed yesterday, and Games Workshop announced that basically there will be a new one of these Space Marine Codex released, well, by this time next week. Probably kind of one of the worst kept secrets ever, because everyone's saying there's a new Space Marine Codex coming out. I've got mixed feelings about it. One of which is this, a bit like the rule book as well, is less than 2 years old. It's probably closer to 18 months old than 2 years. I've also really enjoyed playing this codex, and my feelings about it changing is first of all, you going, please don't break anything. Please don't break anything. I have loved in this codex the fact that you've now got special rules for certain chapters. I tend to, as you know from watching some of our battle reports, I love using the Iron Hands rule that makes my Space Marines, which are already one of the more tougher army, that little bit tougher. And there's also relics that you can add to your captains, which make, because traditionally it would be, you'd be very much like, I want to use an Ultramarine chapter master or a Salamander chapter master because they've got special rules with them. But now with the relics and with the with the special chapter flavors, so for instance, the Iron Hands are a little bit tougher. The Imperial Fists are better at shooting bolt guns. It kind of gives them a little bit more of a flavor, and a little bit more customizable. And the relics as well. So for instance, I tend to use the Storm Shield, which I put on my chapter master, which again makes him a little tougher to take down. That kind of works well with Imperial, with Iron Fists. You make your army just a little bit more durable. I think some of the better people I've seen that have used it, I think the Ultramarine tactics are probably one of the best if you can play them right, but they're unforgiving because they allow you to swap and change. But you have to be ready to, okay, there's 4 things I can use on 4 different turns. I need to be ready to use this one on this turn, and it's a kind of level of coordination that I admit that I'm not that good at. Some of the rumours about what's in this codex, though, there's rumours that you're going to be able to have formations of Vindicators, and I'm kind of excited about that. I do own 3 Vindicators, and being able to use them as single form, if I take my Vindicators at the minute, I have to use basically all my heavy slots. And I kind of like the idea of that, but it's been quite obvious that with the recent rules additions, with the Imperial Knights Codex that's come out as well, is pretty much the game seems to be being ushered towards a more apocalypse level. And some of that's good. Some of it is good that there shouldn't be a break between Warhammer, the basic Warhammer rules, and the apocalypse. But you're not quite so convinced, are you?
Nope.
Would you like to elaborate?
I just think that they're just doing it as a business ploy for you to buy more stuff and just turn 40k into Apocalypse, and then the standard game just be destroyed, and so you just have to play Apocalypse.
And I agree to some extent. I do. I mean, I admit my first reaction to even the idea of you can take formation of Predators, because I only have one last cannon Predator really, and so I use as a proxy. And if you can take more, I think the first thing is, let's go buy models. Let's buy more models, which obviously is great for Games Workshop. But like you say, skate, sometimes, I think, particularly when we try and play the game, and this is what we found a little bit from playing under 1,000 points occasionally, is at 1,000 points, the game plays very, very fast. It's really tempting to say more points equals a better game, and the more that you can cram in with your codex, Lords of War, and really tough things, the more there's going to be of that. And I think, as Cameron's pointed out, that might not necessarily be as fun to think as you play as you think. Do you agree?
Mm.
I mean, yeah, you can spam a lot of units. I mean, ironically, we're preparing to do a non-battle. What's a non-battle forged army called these days? We've pretty much got our board set up at the minute, and we're kind of, probably not today, but probably during the next week, we're going to be playing about a 3,000 point army, and it won't be battle forged, and there will be a lot of tanks, but that's like a one-off. I think as we saw at Maelstrom the other week, with so much heavy stuff, super heavy walkers and super heavy tanks, there's kind of like an arms race at the minute. The super heavy walkers have got some pretty cool rules. They can stomp on you. They can, they are like a vehicle. You can't incapacitate them, immobilize them, make them lose a weapon. They're pretty unstoppable until you've taken the last hull point off. So, yeah, there does seem to be a huge amount of people that's going, oh my god, I need to get this. Whether the new Space Marine Codex will force people more into this kind of way of thinking, and again push to, I don't want to be playing 1,500 point games, I want to be playing 3,000 point games. I mean, that's fine if that's what you want, but if that becomes the norm, it does change the way that Warhammer plays. I mean, a thing I notice when you have these super heavies, you lose track of the fact that the tactical Space Marines just seem pointless. In fact, the infantry almost seems to be something you just kind of want to brush aside, And the game is about these guys on the front. It's about the Space Marines. Well, it's about the troops. The troops. For me, obviously, it's the Space Marines. The Imperial Guards. The actual grunts, and they're kind of sometimes lost in these, the drive for bigger and bigger vehicles and bigger flyers. What's quite interesting with it, just a week to go, there doesn't seem to be any new models. So, that's an interesting one. A codex that there's not going to be that much in there. It's still going to cost us over in New Zealand $100. So it's kind of expensive. We bought a codex less than 2 years ago, and in fact, I like that codex so much I bought it electronically as well. So Games Workshop is pretty much getting a codex a year from me at the minute in fees. So I want it to be different to the last codex. I don't want it just to simply open it and go, oh, you can take formations of indicators and predators. But at the same time, I think like many Space Marine players, I don't kind of want them to ruin anything that's already there. I want it to be similar, but kind of a little bit cooler. Really, I really don't want them to do. I mean, they wouldn't anyway. I mean, let's face it. The basic stat for every Space Marine is still going to be 4. Still going to be 3 and up save. This is going to be it's the way Space Marines always have. But I know having a few Tyranids friends, and hi Luke, it is that thing of they moan so much about the new codex and saying, oh, it nerfed everything that was really good in our army. And so whenever there's a new codex, everyone kind of gets just a little bit nervous. I mean, if, I know between me and Cameron, we sometimes say, I'd like to play using the older codex rules, particularly for your Imperial Guard. You prefer some of the older orders to the newer orders.
Yep.
And the new Astro Militarum is a great example of a codex that didn't really bring much to the table. It was an update, but not really. They had Bulgrins. The orders were slightly changed.
The new heavy support model.
What's one?
The Wavering? Yeah.
Which one's that?
The mortar one.
Oh,
the mortar tank.
There was a mortar tank that I didn't really feel the love for that. That didn't kind of go. It went, oh my god. You do realise if they have a new Astro Militarum now, the way that we've had Imperial Knights, Orc Stompers are now part of the base codex. Probably Baneblades will probably be part of any new codex for the Imperial Guard, but for Space Marines, I don't see it. I've seen these new models. I already own 250 Space Marines. I'm not going to kind of go out and use buy new models just because they look a little different. I do wonder if last Codex, the big change was the grav gun. But ironically, I've come across a lot of Space Marine players who were immediately, oh, the grav gun, oh my god, it's amazing. Haven't yet seen anyone, apart from myself, take them as a tournament list. And now I've actually reverted back to Plasma, saying, actually, Plasma's probably. I know there's the occasional and you blow up, but I think Plasma is actually quite an underrated thing, and it's an amazing thing to use. 6 days of drumming my fingers on the table, and then we'll start to find out what rumours are real, what rumours are fake. But it is interesting to mull it over. I hope Games Workshop don't let me down. I hope Games Workshop don't let the community down, and that this is a really good, interesting, and worthwhile codex to basically buy again after 2 years. Because after 2 years, I do have to admit, not particularly impressed. But I'm also a little bit excited as well. And I know it's going to cost a little bit more than I'd like it to, but it is exciting. Let's see what's on the page. Tune in a week and I'll talk about what I found out. Catch you later, guys.